Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons competition in 2023 winter. So specifically, we're going to talk about October, November, December, and I'm going to give you the three games that were most significantly the most significant competition to Dungeons and Dragons in 2023 winter. Okay, so first and foremost, and I'll give you the list now. So it's Marvel Multiverse RPG, MCDM RPG, and the Walking Dead RPGM. So Marvel MCM Walking. All right, let's talk about Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. This was an absolutely massive release this year. I think it was definitely top 3 most significant competitors for Dungeons and Dragons this year. And why? Well, the biggest reason by far is it's doing some things that Dungeons and Dragons doesn't do. So first of all, it has the best, most adaptable rule system ever created for any tabletop role-playing game ever. It was not, I don't think they set out to make the greatest GURPS system ever. It just simply happened. And the reason why is Matt Forbeck went to work and he set to make everything that was possible within the Marvel multiverse for 60 years of comics possible. And that means you could tell any kind of story with it. You could tell, a Hill Street Blues cop story. You could tell a romance story. You could tell a super story. You could tell a fantasy story. You could tell a science fiction story. And the reason why is all that happened in Marvel, right? Marvel has every type of genre contained in it. And Matt Forbeck studied with the great Gary Gygax, literally edited his work, and just absolutely did a tremendous job delivering the best rules, the best, most adaptable rule system that could be used to run any genre that's ever been put to paper. Period. End of sentence. So Marvel Multiverse role-playing game was absolutely fantastic. And another thing that was really a big deal about it was that it actually 100%, and it was truly astounding just how tight the rules were. A almost perfectly executed D&D canon, almost perfectly executed D&D canon hardback that wasn't made by Hasbro, right? It literally has Dungeons and Dragons printed on the cover. It has Gary Gygax on page 2. But even beyond that, the art in it is spectacular. The writing is spectacular. The layout is spectacular. The rules are peerless. For adaptability and the ability to run any genre. Okay, now get this. What's really special about it, though, was that Marvel was it is a banger of a game. It's just absolutely astounding. But Marvel did not, this is a tabletop role-playing game, right? Normally this stuff is farmed out to some other company and published by another, and then they'll sell the license off. Marvel didn't do that. This is not someone else publishing Marvel's game. Marvel owned it. Marvel printed it. Marvel distributed it. That has never ever happened ever, right? There has never been an IP property that actually printed their own role-playing game before. This is the first in the entire industry. And people have told me I'm wrong about this. Come at me. Put it in the text below. You ain't right. Truly astounding. Okay. Next was MCDM RPG. This was simply a Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter was so huge, right, that it has to be on this list. And I bumped another game to put it here. MCDM RPG made $3 million. $3 million. Okay. Now the reality is, this has to be on the list as a competitor to Dungeons and Dragons, because it is important for what it says about Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I want to be super clear with the MCDM RPG. The MCDM RPG has exactly zero possibility of replacing Dungeons and Dragons or being a true competitor to Dungeons & Dragons. First of all, it won't even be out for 18 months. That's straight from Matt Colville himself. Okay. Second of all, it's definitely not a real competitor because it is the laziest attempt to beat Dungeons & Dragons I have ever seen. They are not printing a DMG, right? And they're taking builds that were made to be compatible with 5e and including them in the game. The moment they do that and they just take, oh, hey, here's some refried builds that we did for 5e, and these are going to be in the new game, it means the new game isn't going to do anything, right? There's not going to be anything significant or any real innovations because it's literally coming from 5e dross, right? This is sweeping up the chaff from the wheat floor and putting it in with the wheat, right? And when he said that there would be a PHP, an MM, and this is not a joke, not a joke. He's like, if you need to know how to dungeon master, you can. I've had a few videos on it, literally saying that that a new person would read the PHP, read the MM, and sift through 100 videos that he has and that others have. So basically, this is not an attempt in any way to compete with Dungeons & Dragons. This is what this is this is a product for everybody who's already bought every MCDM product, right? Now, why is it on this list if it's a lazy rehash copy, right? Well, first of all, there's a bunch of like PDF junk that was released on DriveThruRPG. This beats all of that, right? Like, at least they did $3 million. And this is significant because what it really proves is Matthew Mercer is not the only person in the world who can make himself and his friends millionaires standing next to Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons is so powerful that you could make $1 million just standing next to Dungeons & Dragons, right? And that's exactly what Matt Colville has done. He has made a career standing next to Dungeons & Dragons and saying, hey, here's this Dungeons & Dragons thing that is attached and bolted to Dungeons & Dragons. Am I a millionaire yet? The answer is yes, right? And so this is important because it's saying that, like, quite literally, right, Dungeons & Dragons is a multi-billion-dollar property that is so powerful it can make people who are adjacent to Dungeons & Dragons millionaires, right? And we thought that only a Hollywood celebrity could do that. That's Matthew Mercer. But the reality is a video game designer can also do it, right? So this is a bold statement saying, hey, do you want to be a millionaire? You can be a millionaire just putting yourself adjacent to Dungeons & Dragons, right? Matt Colville is simply Dungeons & Dragons adjacent. He's done nothing innovative. And I don't even think he's put that, like, I was shocked when he said, we're not even going to bother with a DMG. And what he's saying there is, this isn't for anyone new. This is only if you are an established dungeon. If Dungeons & Dragons trained you, right? If Dungeons & Dragons trained you, and then you bought into the OGL Manic Panic, this is for you. It's not for anyone new, right? This only is runnable by somebody who's already been taught to be a dungeon master by Dungeons & Dragons. And what's astounding is you can make millions just doing that. Like, that is incredible, right? Like, and here's the other thing. Now, it's not super easy to do, right? I don't want to be dismissive of Matt Colville. I'm dismissive of his design work, right? But what he did do was he actually innovated and built his own community, and also was very smart in his hiring. James Intricasso is brilliant and a very talented designer. So if you hire well, you build a community, you can design poorly, put in very low effort, right? And then become a millionaire, a millionaire Dungeons & Dragons person. And I have to say, actually, now I think about it, I think his design work is low effort. The idea that you would compete with Dungeons & Dragons not putting out a DMG is ludicrous. It immediately took this off the list for me as far as being a real attempt to replace Dungeons & Dragons, right? It's not. He's surrendered before he's even started, right? There's no possibility something without a DMG is ever going to replace Dungeons & Dragons, because it's telling every new person you can go kick rocks, right? This is only for his already bought, his already sold community, which is a large community that he did an excellent job building. Matt Colville did an excellent job building a community who would buy anything he creates. And that's what this is for. This is for people who have already bought every product he's ever bought. And that's enough to make him a millionaire, literally. That's pretty incredible, right? Like, so that's cool. Last one, The Walking Dead. Okay? The Walking Dead RPG. Official, licensed at the absolute wrong time. This thing should have dropped 8 years ago, right? To put out the Walking Dead RPG now, which looks amazing. I think it's, I apologize, it's either Modifius or Free League, I'm not sure which. A very major international publisher brought this out. The book is gorgeous. It's 170 pages long. I think that's fantastic. I'm all for shorter books, right? But it's $58 retail. $58 retail for 170 pages, right? Y'all can stop complaining about D&D's prices, because Free League's got them beat as far as like high price, high price for a low page count, right? So so basically, I think that's really fascinating, and I was really fascinated to see how this whole thing was structured. And it's a major competitor, and also, again, Dungeons & Dragons will not pick up licensed product. They didn't pick up any licensed product in 2023, right? And they're giving this space to others, right? I love that The Walking Dead is getting an official licensed role-playing game, but I think it's really sad that it didn't come out 8 years ago when the show was hot. Now, like, everybody's like, no, right? And even I had to jump off. I stayed on to like season 11 or something, but you know, like, I'm like, nah, this ain't going anywhere. That is D&D competition for Q3 2023. I'm sorry, Q4 2023. Q4 2023, the winter, October, November, December. And that is the whole year of competition for Dungeons & Dragons. I want to say thank you very much to you. This is part of a playlist. You can check out the playlist. And it has all the videos together. And I really just wanted to thank you for letting me go over this with you and explore the year in competition for Dungeons & Dragons. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Q4 competition for Dungeons & Dragons and for these games. And I'd love to hear if you would have put a different game in any of these quarters. I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.